inaugural episode of the Retro Stash here on RGT85 Live and Extras. We're going to start out with a game that's very near and dear to my heart, but a very controversial game as well. Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. This game released exclusively on the GameCube and was a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid. The original Metal Gear Solid was a game that everyone loved, so how could a game that everyone loves become so controversial in just a matter of a few years? That's what we're going to talk about in our video today. So the story of Metal Gear Solid is, of course, a story of twists and turns. The game takes place in the future of 2005, and you assume the role of Solid Snake, who is a former special operations soldier who is now working for an organization called Foxhound. You're basically sent to a place called Shadow Moses Island, which is an Alaskan nuclear weapons disposal facility, and basically some terrorists have taken over this. The terrorists are led by someone named Liquid Snake, and your name is Solid Snake, so hey, there's probably some sort of correlation between the two of you. Now, as you play throughout this game, whether it's the vanilla version or the Twin Snakes version, you quickly see that this game was really unlike anything that we had seen at the time. There wasn't really a stealth genre of games, and I mean, yes, they came out on the MSX family computer in Japan with Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. Most Westerners had only known Metal Gear from, of course, Konami's version of the game on the NES, which, I mean, it was okay, it was a decent representation, but it wasn't really what this game was all about with the stealth gameplay. If you wanted to go in guns blazing, you really couldn't. I mean, you didn't have enough ammunition, you didn't have the proper weapons. So stealth, sneaking around, trying to take people out in a stealthy manner was kind of the crux of this game, and it led for an experience that was really unlike any other experience that we had ever seen at the time. The AI itself was really good. It would detect you, it had a cone vision that if it would see you, it would call in for backup and try to take you out, and that's kind of where the firefight began. Of course, we talked about the Metal Gear Solid story, and this is a story that has lots of twists and turns, and new characters come along, a whole diverse cast of people that really made for this game to be an interesting experience and really a memorable experience. Hideo Kojima, when at least on a leash and not doing things like making an Amazon package simulator game, can be very, very talented in his writing, and I feel like it definitely showcased in this game just how good of a narrative he could write. The story itself felt more like a big budget Hollywood movie than just a video game, with full voice acting, interesting plot twists, and really Hideo Kojima was always a big fan of Hollywood. Just look at the character Solid Snake himself. Solid Snake is of course based on Snake Plissken from Escape from New York, and this was something that was sort of revisited in later games as well. Now, the game itself was the perfect length for most people. There was a lot of cool hidden secrets in the game as well, and like I said, this game was really well received on the PlayStation 1. But if you know anything about the PlayStation 1, obviously the visual style of that game didn't really hold up over time. A lot of 3D PlayStation 1 games just don't have that same sort of shine that they did when they originally released, as technology is always moving forward. Now, Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes released after Metal Gear Solid 2, so they went with the visual style more akin to that for this remake, and honestly, it looks absolutely gorgeous. You can actually see character facial animations, everything feels a lot more alive, animations are much more fluid, and the game definitely benefits from having this new visual style. So then what's the problem here? You have the base game of Metal Gear Solid getting a new coat of paint on the Nintendo GameCube. It looks absolutely fantastic. We know the story is great. We know the gameplay is this stealth gameplay that was unlike anything we had seen before and was still hot at that time. What are the drawbacks? Why is the GameCube version so controversial? Well, let's go back to the gameplay first and foremost. The gameplay in this game is modeled more so after Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, in Metal Gear Solid 2, they introduced a new mechanic where you could look in a first-person perspective and look around a level or even shoot enemies. Now, it plays a role in this game because of the fact that it actually makes one of the boss battles that happens earlier in the game a hell of a lot easier. The Revolver Ocelot battle becomes way too easy when you're able to look down this first-person perspective, and it takes a little bit away from the game for some people. Now, this is just one boss battle, but it definitely does feel a bit different than Metal Gear Solid with this first-person perspective, because now you can hold people up and shake them down and get items and stuff like that, which you couldn't do in the previous game. Now, another thing that was changed in this game, that's kind of your mileage may vary if it bothers you or not, is that some of the dialogue was re-recorded in this game, with the original voice actors returning for some characters and some characters having new voice actors. Really, the Mei Ling character bothers the hell out of me with this game because of the fact that, well, she doesn't sound like Mei Ling. It just sounds like a more white person. Like, I don't really know how to say it with being politically correct, but I'm going to show you here the original voice actress for Mei Ling, how she sounds, and then the new voice actress, or I guess it may have been the same one. I'm not really sure. It sounds like a different person to me in Twin Snakes.
Come on, Snake, don't call me for no reason.
Come on, Snake, don't call me for no reason.
So changing up the gameplay some, changing up the voice actor some, that can obviously impact the game in a big way. But really, the biggest controversy with this game were the storytelling cutscenes. Now, if you played the original Metal Gear Solid, yes, it was a bit over the top, but it was still at least somewhat rooted in reality. Like, you could sort of see this potentially being a thing. Maybe some of the characters were a bit over the top, but the story itself, there was some parallels to real life, and the cutscenes seemed like normal sort of things. In this version of the game with Twin Snakes, though, the Matrix was very hot, and this whole kung fu style of slow motion, martial arts, and jumping all over the place became very, very popular. And all of the cutscenes in this game were redone to include this new style, this new sort of almost ninja style of being able to move within the cutscenes, and it was very, very off-putting for a lot of people. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the original cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid. It was more so to tell the story, but in this remake version of Twin Snakes, it definitely changes the tone of the game a little bit and gives it a more sort of campy feel with this over-the-top action sequences. And that kind of detracts a bit from the game for a lot of people. Some people don't mind the over-the-top action, and really, it didn't bother me all that much personally. But that's really where the controversy comes from with this game. By improving things, or thinking you're improving things, you're going to alienate a small portion of your original user base. And with drastic changes, you really start to get the ire of people, and it's like, well, was this the right decision to do? The gameplay can be sort of adjusted to, and for the most part, I do feel like it does lead to a better gameplay experience outside of the Revolver Ocelot incident. Now, the voice acting, it's just sort of a take it or leave it situation, but these cutscenes definitely change the overall tone of this game. However, Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes is still a fantastic game. It still looks great, it definitely holds up today, and it's a game worth revisiting. I think it's something that you should play after you play the original game, though, just to see the differences and see if you like them or not. I can feel like most modern gamers will appreciate the gameplay enhancements of the game and obviously the updated visuals, but I feel like the tone of the games does shift quite a bit with Twin Snakes, and I'm not quite sure if that's a good thing. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below, though, and as always, thank you guys for checking out this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. There's going to be more of these on the channel, so hopefully you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, I'm sorry. Please go to the front of the line and request a refund. I thought that was kind of funny. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.